Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh, wow.
And the game of the year is...
Well, he wasn't even on this.
Baldur's Gate 3.
Baldur's Gate 3, to not many surprise, has won Game of the Year, a recognition that is well-deserved. While some may discredit the Game Awards, this year's event has proven many skeptics wrong, including myself.
My speech was actually longer than this year's Call of Duty campaign.
What?
I initially intended to critique the Game Awards in a video I was working on, but my perspective changed when I delved into its history and realized how much has improved over the years.
Because the first year of the Spike TV rebrand, they decided to produce the first televised video game award show in history.
2003 was structured less like a celebration of a year of gaming and more like the mid-2000s MTV Movie or Music Award.
If you don't watch Spike TV's Video Game Awards, you'll miss.
It's come so far since back then. I'm just glad that we have an award show that gets taken serious in any regard, because it used to be terrible. Watch the entire video from the channel Burback and go subscribe to them. It's actually a really fascinating look back from where it all began. The impact of a game like Baldur's Gate 3 comes around maybe once in a generation, if we're lucky. Despite some discussions leaning towards skepticism, I was hopeful that Larian would get the recognition that it deserves.
Neil Newbar.
The community has reached out to so many of us at Larian and said they were seen and they were represented by this game. When they lost hope, they felt isolated, they felt alone, and this game brought them together and gave them something to push through to help them all. And to you, I want to say thank you so much for seeing us. I appreciate it. You're not alone in this. None of us are. Thank you.
The Game Awards might not mean a lot to some people, but for game developers, recognition from their peers, especially on a stage as big as this one, is taken very seriously.
Baldur's Gate 3.
I didn't expect it anymore. Thank you so much. A game like Baldur's Gate 3 isn't possible if you don't have an incredible team working on it. And the team at Larian spent their hearts and souls for 6 years on this game in sometimes very difficult circumstances. Along the way, we lost quite a few people also, so we want to dedicate this to all the people we lost, and especially to Jim, our lead cinematic artist, who passed away in the last month. I want to thank over 2,000 people, so sit back and relax. But I also want to thank everybody that supported us throughout this entire effort. Our families, our friends, our partners, you were the best, and without you, we couldn't have done it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
My admiration for Baldur's Gate 3 is not the opinion of someone fanboying over his favorite developer. I have never played any of Larian's previous games, and Baldur's Gate 3 obviously hooked me out of nowhere. From what I initially saw of Baldur's Gate 3 before playing it, I had no anticipation on loving it as much as I do. It's literally my new favorite game. I had anticipated it being another overhyped game, and just flat out did not expect to like it. However, it managed to change my mind, which is a significant feat considering it's usually hard to change someone's mind when they have made it up beforehand. My passion is driven by wanting others to have a similar experience, with opening their minds to crazy and unexpected experiences. And I'm sorry for anyone in my last video saying that Starfield is even in the same boat or same ocean as Baldur's Gate 3. I'm sorry. This kind of impact doesn't just come out of nowhere. Starfield was not robbed of any awards, and it was lucky to be nominated in my opinion.
Bethesda games have a certain, in Maddie's words, stank to them, right? They just have a certain look, they have a certain feel, they're always a little clunky, they're buggy. That's the Bethesda stank that some people love. It's like a good aged cheese, you know? You cut into it and you're like, oh, it smells like farts, but it's delicious. That's Bethesda, right?
Because there was plenty of other RPGs that were far more creative than Starfield. There is fun to be had in Starfield, but if it's your game of the year, you're clearly not playing very many games. And that's fine. don't get me wrong, but honestly, your opinion is one of ignorance. Full disclosure, I've played every game on the Game of the Year list aside from Alan Wake 2. As a very active Twitch viewer and former streamer, I've watched tons of gameplay and have a good understanding of what these games are about. And that's where the gaming is very subjective defense comes in. But one cannot deny the impact of certain games and understand and respect what they have done on a technical level. Not to mention, it's just hard for me to consider direct sequels and remasters in general Game of the Year material, especially in the circumstances of 2023. When Elden Ring came around, it was not my favorite game, and I didn't necessarily praise the hell out of it like everybody else did, but I fully understood its success and place in the industry. Elden Ring was exactly what we needed at the time to kickstart the industry in the right direction. Anyone that plays and enjoys Elden Ring doesn't claim that it's perfectly balanced or bug-free, but what people don't see is a bigger picture. It was a complete game that respected the player. It didn't treat us like toddlers and hold our hands the entire experience. Baldur's Gate 3, which would normally be a very niche game under normal circumstances, has managed to captivate a very broad audience. Is your game still niche though when more people are playing your game on PC than the newest Call of Duty? The community of players absorbed by this game can only begin to understand why something that should have been so niche has done so well. Even Larian themselves never expected a game like Baldur's Gate 3 to do as well as it did. And maybe it's because of the past and somewhat current landscape of the gaming industry. And that's my next point. I believe timing was also a huge factor in BG3's success, aside from it just being a masterpiece. I've said time and time again that I'm sick of the same old formula in RPGs especially, and BG3 provided a breath of fresh air for me. For anyone mindlessly spreading hate about a game that they don't fully understand because it's turn-based or too niche, I implore you to actually play this game. With its universal praise, it's somewhat safe to say that it is a great game. To wrap it all up, it's just been crazy to see some of the responses in YouTube comment section. It's just either universal praise or people just bad-mouthing the game because they haven't even bothered to play it. With that said, BG3's win is a testament to its quality and the hard work of the developers. It's just a reminder that sometimes the underdog can come out on top, and that's something worth celebrating, no matter what your cup of tea is.